taking care of your family and loving your family and doing all this wonderful things for your family. And she said, as she was prophesying, speaking this to him, she said he fell down on his face and he cried his eyeballs.
This is Micah Turnbow again.
No, this was Nancy.
Nancy Cohn.
Yeah. And she was prophesying to this man, and everybody was looking at her like, especially this guy's wife, was looking at Nancy like, what are you talking about? This is like completely the opposite of who this man is, because he was abusing his wife and, you know, speaking all this horrible, you know, things to his family, and, you know, mistreating his family, all the, you know, demonic things that you can think of. And so after the service, this woman and a friend came to Nancy and she told her, well, we know that you are a false prophet, because all of the things that you spoke to this man is quite the opposite. And she said and Nancy replied to them and she said, I don't know, I'm sorry this is how you feel, but I'm going to tell you right now, this man is not going to be the same person that he came in as he came in. And she didn't give them any, like, she didn't try to protect her
reputation, or defend herself.
Yeah, she just, you know, answered them in love and patience and kindness, and they left. She said 2 years after, she went back to the same church.
Yes.
And this lady came to her with her husband, and she said, everything you prophesied over my husband, it came to pass.
You see,
because she didn't do her own thing. She actually listened to the Holy Spirit. That's and she did exactly what God told her to do. So she walked in obedience.
That's right.
And sometimes people don't understand that being a prophet is being called a prophet means that you are called to walk in obedience.
Yes.
Not to be moved by the things you see and hear.
Yes.
God allows people to see things.
Not being obedient to the labels of men.
Yes. God allows people to see things because He wants us to see things, but He also wants to test us to see, what are you going to do with this information? Are you going to want to try and make yourself high and mighty and, you know, for people to praise you? Or are you able to keep this information to yourself until I give you, you know, the right to say something, or if I call you to do something about that. So,
that's it. But what's interesting about this Micah Turnbow is what separates him or makes him distinct from a lot of the other leading mystics is that he's actually in a governmental position in the church. He's a prophet at Vineyard. Like I know that Benny Hinn comes from the Vineyard Church. Guys like John Wimber, that started the Signs and Wonders movement, or miracles, came from the Vineyard Church. John Arnott, I think, was actually the leader.
Yeah.
And so he was mentioning there as well that a lot of these prophets are still holding on to their mantles and their reputations, and what they would do is they would try and appear to be revelatory, and then they will then add their own interpretation onto it to try and mix it with a mainstream church flavor. It's got to sound and appear like the apostolic prophetic, but it's actually borrowed revelation from the mystics. But with this Micah Turnbow, he's actually not afraid. He's reached a place where it's not about him trying to protect his reputation.
It's about him bringing the gospel to people, to prepare them for the revival that is yet to come.
Exactly. So when he shares a story about Jesus told him to undress, and him and Jesus were fellowshipping naked together, for him to share something like that, and you are in a fivefold a place of authority or capacity in the fivefold in the mainstream, to share something like that publicly shows me that he has let go of the fear of trying to please mainstream Christianity or leaders in the mainstream. Where he's not blending in or trying to mix or dilute revelatory truths when it comes to the mysteries of God, and then add your little apostolic prophetic flavor onto it. It's just so that you are still accepted and branded as an authentic prophet in church. He's let that all go. Because I mean, to share something like that, 95% of the mainstream church is going to brand him as a heretic.
I feel like the church isn't ready. Most of the church is not ready for that. Their hearts aren't ready for what God is about to reveal to them, because
they're not ready for it.
They want to tell God how to be God.
Yes.
When God has so much more aspects to him, the devil can never be so vast.
No ways.
Never. So people need to
exactly going back to Michael Jackson's dancing, like this this so-called self-acclaimed prophet. I'm not going to mention his name. You know I'm talking about this. At Bendigo.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Jackson's dance is demonic. I look at that, I say, you want to tell me the devil is that talented in a fallen state to be able to make somebody dance like that? That's a gift from God. That
was definitely a gift from God.
Yes.
And the thing is, irrespective of if that person was a man or a woman of God, God doesn't take away his gifts.
No.
And the thing is, for us to keep on trying to, put people in a bad light, we're hurting the church. That's why there's a lot of people that doesn't want to come to salvation, because they put a picture on God in such a bad light, to where it doesn't look nice to be a Christian. You look like a horrible person because you're judging people.
It's become completely unpalatable.
There's no love there. And the thing is, like, that's why people, they walk away from the gospel or the truth, because they like, well, I can't have fun there, I can't be myself in the church, I can't express myself in the church. And culture comes from God. Creative singing and all this art and all these kind of things.
Right.
It comes from the Lord. It's a gift from the Lord. How can someone say that is a gift from Satan? How can Satan give you gifts? He didn't even create you. I don't understand how people think.
Even some of that music that we were listening to, weren't listening to, it was playing where we were.
Yes.
That shaman music. Okay, we don't listen to shaman music, but the thing is, shaman music, it's stolen creativity from the kingdom of heaven. It was stolen, and that is why it works with these people, because they're riding on a vibrational frequency that it was stolen from the kingdom of heaven. And going back to this story about where he said him and Jesus were fellowshipping naked, and people say, "Oh, how dare you blaspheme?" But the thing is, there's an account where Paul said in Galatians where the Pharisees were spying out their liberty.
Wow.
So what do you think they were doing? They were fellowshipping naked.
Yes.
So it was, you must know that the Jewish custom, they're very intimate. Even though they're males, and obviously there's no perversion, but they fellowship naked. If they didn't do it today, I'm convinced they did it in the ancient times. So if the Pharisees were spying out their liberty, what does he mean? He means they were looking to see, okay, who's been circumcised or not. Yes. It means they were fellowshipping stark naked.
Absolutely.
They were fellowshipping naked. So he mentioned it as well, and remember I said it to you, and then later on in the video he actually mentioned what I said. Jesus probably fellowshiped naked with his apostles.
Yes.
Because they were
practicing intimacy. They were practicing intimacy in the earth. In other words,
okay, they were practicing intimacy.
They were practicing intimacy in the earth without being ashamed. Like Adam and Eve were not ashamed to be naked. Yes. So because they had nothing to hide.
Yes, their minds weren't filled with unclean thoughts.
Yes.
And those apostles being around Jesus, any unclean thought, I think, was probably immediately neutralized.
Purified. Because Jesus also even said when he was speaking to them, he said, you were now being cleansed by the word that I just spoke to you now.
Yes. What do young children do when they're swimming? They run around, they swim naked. You see?
Absolutely.
So the people don't see this. It's like it's right in front of them, but like they can't see the forest because of the tree right in front of their noses. Paul said they were spying out, the Pharisees were spying out our liberty. Why? They were looking, okay, is this one... has this one been circumcised? Has that one not been? Because they were running around, they were fellowshipping naked.
Yes.
It's quite apparent when you think about it, when you read it. So yeah.